I'm a freelance dancer and choreographer and teacher. I'm a self-taught dancer. The first girl street dance group in India. It did not exist before I decided to do it. Now there are more girls who watch me and watch the girls and they're like, that's so interesting, I want to try it. I've never been somebody who even believed that what hip hop dancing and club dancing and street dancing would be something that would expand to this level in India. My background and the way lifestyle I live is no different from somebody who lives in Los Angeles or New York or Paris. Bandra, where I live, it's quite cosmopolitan and it's quite, I mean, not that it's better to be westernized, but it just by default, it is very westernized here. So I speak English and I grew up speaking English and my parents are mixed. My mom is half English and half Kashmiri. My dad is Catholic from Bombay, so we were converted by the Portuguese years ago. But basically because my parents, they had a love marriage and they're quite forward and they're not very traditional. So I was pretty much allowed to watch whatever I want and be whatever I want and wear mostly whatever I want. So I never had any restrictions. Been dancing since I was a baby. I mean, like 2-3 years old. It was just something that there was music and I would dance. And I have to credit my older brother a lot for me being interested in street or hip hop dancing because, you know, he was very much into dancing when he was younger. My dad used to get us these cassettes, the Billboard Top 100, every week. When I was 4 years old, I watched this movie with my brother which was called Electric Boogaloo. What I want to do, then I step out on the floor, the music plays once more. And basically that movie has popping, locking and break dancing. And I'm talking about a time in India where we barely had like 3 or 4 channels on TV which were like news. So I was watching something that my grandmother taped and brought from England that was all about street dance. But I didn't know what I was doing. I just was watching and, you know, my brother would like do some ridiculous stuff and I'd copy him. And when I was old enough to go to nightclubs, I pretty much used to go to nightclubs and dance 3 or 4 times a week sometimes, from the age of like 16. I would just dance like as though I was, you know, in a music video. And I was so young that it was really exciting to me then. I mean, people really enjoyed watching me dance, but there was also a lot of like confusion. It didn't really fit into the sort of social behavior in a nightclub, which was more you dance with a boy or you sort of move, you don't like drop to the floor and you know what I'm saying. So I was just trying to do all this crazy stuff that I would see in music videos, you know. And I remember wanting to go somewhere else, like I want to go to New York or I want to go to London because I would see music videos and be like, wow, like there's so many people there who are doing this, you know, and here I'm like alone. I met Kundu at a club, like a bar. It's like a popular night spot here, and I was 21 years old, and he just like walked in and, you know, like started, you know, performing and doing, and nobody else was doing that in India. Like nobody was going, at that time, I'm talking about 6 years ago, I was the only person at a nightclub like going nuts and dancing. So I saw him and it was just like instantly like, I want to talk to this person because he's like my outlet, like window to the outside world. We just started talking, and then he started inviting me for practice with some other kids, and it just sort of, my interest sort of started from there. We were doing it physically, a lot of the things, but we didn't know what they were called. So when Kundu came into the picture, it was like he sort of like united all the people who had this common interest, and he like, you know, educated us about what it's called and where it comes from, and we're talking about a time where pretty much everything on television is Bollywood.
It was about 6 years ago, and if you're a foreigner and you came into town, it's always a big thing, you know. Now it's changing a lot, but when I came and started going to the club, like I was starting to go to the parties and stuff, checking it out, meeting people, a lot of people were approaching me like, who's this guy? He's dancing, he's not from here, this is new. There's a guy by the name of Vijay who works for MTV, and he asked me to do this TV show, and I did a show with Priya and another friend of mine, and I think that's kind of something that just kind of opened up. Like, it was on TV, I was getting calls like, hey, what is this, what is that, starting to build a little hype. A couple months later, I choreographed a show for this college festival called Malhar. All the top colleges in Maharashtra showcased their performance, and I choreographed on this college called Xavier's College. And I did everything from popping, locking, hip hop. I don't remember all the styles, but I was doing only street dance. And nobody had really seen street dance in the colleges. And actually, like, come to think of it, that's what like blew it up. Because the year after that, then everybody started doing street dancing. On this show, I'm doing Footloose. It's on street dancing, and compared to all the other dance shows in India, it's definitely a step forward. I'm glad to be part of it because I can kind of like mentor the kids and whoever's watching it. Now you finally see people who just get it. They just have what I call, like, you know, swagger. They're just cool, you know, when they dance. You know, the West, they think like, oh, it's conservative and stuff, but it really isn't. At least in Mumbai, you see the girls on the show. I mean, one of the episodes was about striptease, and this is on TV here in India. You know, that was like the theme. A lot of girls are getting involved, and then again, you know, there's this group called Urbanista, which is the first like female. It's the first female dance group as far as street dancing in India. You know.
There are a lot of television shows now, very big budget television shows surrounding dancing, and I think for a dancer there's a lot more opportunity now, whatever your dance style is. Kundu told me like 6 years ago, he was like, Priya, just watch. In 5 years from now, it's gonna explode. Right now I live at home because in Bombay the rent is so expensive. It's equivalent to the rent in Paris and New York. And the incomes that people are making are not as high as people make in Paris and New York.
Happy birthday to you.
I'm just like a very happy-go-lucky person. I don't think so far into the future, and I'm just like, I just live my life like day by day doing what I love, and my parents do help me out, and I'm not someone who's obsessed with like having expensive things, or so it doesn't really bother me that I'm not like making this large amount of money. I'm more interested in creating like social change and doing something that I love and sticking with it, you know. And then if I make money, great. If I don't, then I don't know, plan B.